MobLand Season 2, status and show future addressed by creator, after Season 1, ending. What if I told you Harry Harrigan might already be dead? And worse, we were never meant to know the truth. The MobLand finale didn't just end on a cliffhanger, it buried a secret so dangerous even the cast refused to speak about it. Because when the screen faded to black, something happened. Something off camera. Why was the prison crowd cheering for Conrad like a king? Why did Maeve vanish without a single line in the final 2 minutes? Why did the camera linger on that alleyway after Harry fell? That wasn't just drama, that was a coded message. MobLand didn't end Season 1. MobLand started something they don't want fans to figure out. Not yet, not until it's too late. And here's the question no one is asking. What if MobLand Season 2 is already written, but they're hiding it from the public until someone leaks the truth? Because what Jez Butterworth said in that interview, that wasn't just optimism, that was a warning. As long as it fascinates, it continues. So, what happens if it stops? The stakes aren't just fictional. Behind the scenes, careers are on the line. Contracts are locked, and someone, possibly a major character, is already confirmed not to return, but no one will say who. What really happened after the final cut? This isn't just TV, it's a chessboard, and we've only seen the opening move. Sound intensifies, rising string tension. Keep watching, because in 10 seconds, I'm going to tell you why Harry Harrigan's stabbing might be the biggest misdirect in streaming history. But first, if you want to stay ahead of the MobLand machine and know what they're not telling you, this is the only channel brave enough to say it. Hit subscribe now. Once, and stay dangerous. We don't do fluff, only facts the network hopes you ignore. Beat, flash cuts, blood, prison bars, hidden door. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to expose the scene that secretly confirms Maeve's master plan, a prop in episode 3 that hints at a season 2 betrayal, and the real reason Conrad smiled, even in chains. This is where it starts. And if you think Harry died, you've already lost the game. MobLand doesn't play fair, it never has. From the first scene, where Harry opens that case in the rain, you were lied to. Every twist you thought was real was rehearsed. Every betrayal you saw coming, planted. But the problem goes deeper than just storylines. It's not just what's on screen, it's what's missing. Ask yourself, why has Paramount Plus stayed silent about Season 2? Why won't they confirm anything, even with one of the biggest cliffhangers in TV history? Because they can't. Because there's a war behind the scenes, a war between the creators and the studio. You see, MobLand was never supposed to be MobLand. It started as a Ray Donovan spinoff. Dark, dirty, corporate crime. But when Butterworth stepped in, everything changed. He rewrote it, twisted it, weaponized it. Now it's not just a crime drama, it's a power game. A coded takedown of every crime show that came before it. And that's where things got complicated. Paramount didn't want the darkness to go that deep. They didn't want real-world parallels. They didn't want fans digging too close to the truth. But Butterworth did. And he filmed it anyway. That's why Maeve's scenes feel off. That's why her dialogue is always twice rehearsed. She's not acting like a mob boss. She's acting like she's already won. And here's what they won't tell you. There was a scene cut from episode 8, where Maeve meets with a stranger in a church. No script leak, no official mention, but one production assistant posted about it, and the post mysteriously disappeared. That scene, it confirmed a shadow organization above the crime families. Something older, something that's been controlling both the Harrigans and the Stevensons for generations. Why was it cut? Because it revealed too much, too soon. But the problem now is, the finale left too many doors open, and here's the catch. If they kill off Harry in Season 2, that secret dies with him. If they keep him alive, someone else has to take the fall. Either way, someone big isn't making it out, and that's not even the real danger, because the ending of Season 1 didn't just tease a new war, it started it. One scene, 1 second, one line of dialogue. That changed everything. We'll break that scene down, frame by frame, next. Because what you think you saw was a misdirection 12 months in the making. If you watched the MobLand Season 1 finale and only saw Harry bleeding out, you missed the real moment that broke the show wide open. It wasn't Harry collapsing. It wasn't Conrad being crowned behind bars. It wasn't even Maeve disappearing into the crowd. It was a whisper. One line, said by a background character, barely audible. Tell her the family survives, the old way. That line wasn't in the subtitles. It wasn't in the official script either. It was dubbed in post. And guess what? That voice wasn't random. It's the same actor who played Declan Boyle from episode 2. He supposedly died. Off-screen. Quick. Convenient. So ask yourself, why bring back a dead man's voice to deliver a final line that no one was supposed to hear? Because someone is still pulling strings? Someone who faked their own death and is now rewriting the rules of MobLand? And here's where it gets darker. The old way isn't just family tradition, it's a reference to an Irish crime syndicate that Butterworth researched for months. They were called the Morrigan Pact, real-world criminals, forgotten, erased from public history, but they were known for one thing, taking over organizations from the inside, using bloodlines, not money, not violence, blood. Now look again at Maeve's character. Her last name isn't listed in the credits. That's intentional, because it connects her to the Morrigan Pact, and that's why she doesn't need guns. She doesn't need threats. She doesn't even need to speak, because she owns them all. Harry, Conrad, the Stevensons, even the feds. They're playing a game. But Maeve built the board, and here's the most forbidden part. There's a scene cut from episode 4's original script where Maeve visits an orphanage. That scene revealed a ledger, a list, names of children adopted through a shell organization. Children who grew up to become enforcers, politicians, even agents. Now guess what Harry said when he first met Maeve? "You remind me of someone." He wasn't flirting, he was remembering. Maeve isn't the villain, she's the architect. And if season 2 airs, she's going to rewrite the entire crime hierarchy. Not with bullets, but with bloodlines. Next, we reveal the frame-by-frame breakdown of Harry's final scene, and the truth hidden in his eyes, and it might just confirm the unthinkable. Harry isn't dying, he's remembering who he really is. You've seen the ending, you've rewatched it. Harry on the ground, bleeding, silent. But here's the truth. That scene wasn't about death, it was about awakening. Because in the final 8 seconds, MobLand does something it hasn't done all season. It breaks its own rules. Watch closely, frame by frame. Harry falls to the pavement, blood pools from his side, but then time slows. Too much. The raindrops freeze in the air for 1.5 seconds. A cinematic glitch? Number, it's a visual cipher. In old Gaelic myths, the kind Butterworth studied obsessively, time freezes when a soul is caught between two bloodlines. Not alive, not dead, in transition. And Harry? He's not just a mob prince. He's a descendant of both crime families. Maeve knew, Conrad knew, only Harry didn't, until now. Now, focus on his eyes. Just before the scene cuts, he looks up, and there, in his pupil, is a figure, a woman, black coat, standing in the shadows. That figure doesn't exist in the shooting script, wasn't in any rehearsal. She was added digitally, and only shows up in one frame. Now pause, go back to episode 3, in the morgue. Harry walks past a woman with the same posture, same build. She's marked as an extra, but her presence bookends the entire season. Butterworth isn't just telling a crime story, he's planting ghosts, ancestral echoes, signals of the past resurfacing in the present. This woman, she's the key, because the ring on her finger matches the one on Maeve's hand, but 20 years older. So what does that mean? It means the woman watching Harry die might be his real mother, and if that's true, then everything Harry believed about the Harrigan legacy is a lie. He's not an heir, he's a pawn. One bred for chaos, for lineage, for one final move that Maeve hasn't made yet. And that final move, it's already in motion. Because in one of Butterworth's private interviews, unreleased but leaked, he described MobLand as a story about genetic vengeance, about what happens when blood becomes more dangerous than bullets. And now you know what he meant. Harry isn't dead. He's becoming what they built him to be. But what is that? A savior? A killer? Or something far worse? There's a scene, buried so deep in MobLand's production files that even the cast didn't know it existed, until one anonymous editor leaked a still. One frame. Maeve, alone, in a candlelit church, kneeling, not in power, not in control, but praying. Music dips to silence. One breath. You didn't see this scene, because they deleted it before the public premiere. Not because it was bad, but because it told you too much. Let's break it down. The deleted sequence was intended to appear midway through episode 6, in place of the quiet Maeve dinner scene. Here's how it unfolded. Maeve enters the chapel, alone. She removes her coat, and underneath is not her usual black ensemble. She's wearing white, linen, plain, humble. She kneels, and what she says next changes everything. He doesn't know. He was never meant to, but the blood calls. Always. I won't stop what's coming, but I'll make sure he ends it. The old way. Let's decode this. He doesn't know. That's Harry. He doesn't know who he really is. Was never meant to, because he wasn't born into power, he was placed there. Then comes the most chilling part. The blood calls. Always. It's the same phrase carved into the family crest shown in episode 1, when the camera pans across the Harrigan Manor wall. No one noticed it, but it's there. The blood is destiny. Maeve isn't just orchestrating moves, she's answering to something older, something inherited. Then, I won't stop what's coming. Which means something is already set in motion, something she didn't start, but plans to end. And finally, he ends it, the old way. That phrase again, the old way. We thought it meant tradition, but no. It's ritual, it's bloodline warfare, it's Morrigan code. This deleted scene was more than character depth. It was a confession that Maeve is not the puppet master. She's the high priestess of a legacy far darker than crime. And Harry, he's the final sacrifice. But here's the kicker. In that same leaked video file, right before the scene ends, Maeve pulls something from her coat, a small black envelope. She places it at the altar, marked only with one word, Conrad. Why would Maeve pray over Harry? But deliver a secret message to Conrad? Here's the theory. Conrad isn't her enemy. He's her insurance policy. If Harry survives, Conrad stays jailed. If Harry dies, Conrad takes control. Either way, she wins, because Maeve isn't betting on loyalty. She's betting on legacy, and legacy always returns. The finale ended with Conrad Stevenson, cheered, triumphant, locked away, yet smiling like he just won. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. Conrad wasn't reacting to the crowd. He was reacting to a message. Let's rewind the scene. The camera pans across the prison yard. Cheers erupt, but notice the man standing to Conrad's right. He doesn't move, doesn't clap. He blinks twice and then nods. That blink pattern, it's a prearranged signal. Too slow, one nod, one tap. Why does that matter? Because in episode 5, during a background security meeting, an ex-intelligence officer explains this exact code, used by MI5 moles during transfer ops. Coincidence? Not in MobLand. Now take this deeper. Before the finale aired, an anonymous crew member leaked an alternate camera angle, one that shows Conrad receiving a folded note the moment before he exits the prison gates. We never saw it in the final cut, but the note was black. And in MobLand mythology, a black envelope means one thing: a death contract has been accepted. Who ordered it? Who was the target? The answer isn't Harry, it's Maeve. Here's what really happened. Episode 7, the meeting between Conrad and his old advisor, cut short on purpose. That scene, it originally included a flashback. Conrad speaking with an unnamed woman in a penthouse. Her face never shown, but her hand wore the same ring as Maeve. They weren't enemies, they were negotiating. That's why Maeve gave him power in prison. That's why his trial vanished from the media within 48 hours. Maeve struck a deal with the devil. Conrad stays caged, safe, clean, until the moment Harry either dies or remembers who he is. And then, Conrad is unleashed. But here's where it goes full circle. That smile, it was the signal to activate a sleeper agent, someone already inside the Harrigan family, someone we've seen, someone who has never spoken a full sentence on screen, until now. We're talking about the silent chauffeur. Yep, that man in black, always in the background, driving Harry, waiting outside scenes, never blinking. He's appeared 9 times, never credited, never named, but in an unreleased promotional cut of the Season 1 trailer, he speaks. That means he's not just a driver, he's a handler, assigned to watch Harry, to trigger his transformation or end it. If it goes wrong, you thought Conrad was the endgame? He's just the lever, and Harry, he's the warhead.